The last 4 polls featuring Mark Carney's approval rating from smallest to biggest go from +4 by Nanos Research, and then +7 by Abacus Data, +9 by Liaison Strategies, +13 by Research Co., and then +15 by Main Street Research. The polling, that polling by Main Street Research that came out recently stated that if an election were to be held today, they believe the Liberals would get 51% of the vote to the Conservatives' 36, which is just absolutely insane. To put this into perspective, Main Street Research isn't necessarily the most conservative poll ever that like always gives them the lead whenever, but it had a decent reputation among conservatives for a while as like their 3rd place pollster behind like Innovative and Abacus. But also, Main Street Research put the Conservatives winning by 1 point only about a month ago. So to see what's known as a relatively conservative pollster put out a +15 for Mark Carney is insane. And then actually going over the numbers from Main Street Research's website, we can see that the Liberals have a 55% chance of winning a majority government, and if they did, they would most likely do so with a few seats to spare. But it's not just Main Street Research that's seeing this polling surge. Nanos has put the Liberals up 2 points since January for +4 now, as you know. Innovative Research also had their numbers for Liberals shoot up recently, saying that the race was neck and neck back in mid-December, but are now saying that the Liberals are up by +2. And the other conservative-leaning pollster, Abacus, has the Liberals up +7, which I told you. But what I didn't tell you is that their polls in January showed a tie. And the best, most accurate pollster, Leger, with an A+ rating on 338, has the Liberals leading by +9 and had them leading +9 a while ago, actually. Now, believe me, as much as I want to pin this on my GOAT Prime Minister and my new best friend being the Riz God, I can't. In fact, if it wasn't for Pierre Poilievre's hard work as a Liberal operative, none of this would have been possible. Because for every yin, there is a yang. While Mark Carney is riding a polling wave, Pierre Poilievre is continuing to be incredibly unpopular. Now, Pierre Poilievre should be having the time of his life right now, considering we're like, only about a month off from the Conservative Leadership Review, which saw him win like 90, it's 2 weeks, good lord, 90% approval, which would lead you to think that, we see some sort of boost for him popularity-wise, but we haven't seen a thing like that. In fact, if anything, his approval is going down, which is leading everyone to wonder, okay, what is actually happening right now in Canadian polling? And I boil it down to like a few things. Mark Carney has a unique ability to just be incredibly popular and do incredibly popular things. From the Davos speech to the deal with China to becoming a tier 3 member like Ukrainian Dreamer over here to help support the channel, which I've heard is actually incredibly popular. But actually, the deal with China was praised from the likes of the National Rational to former Prime Minister Stephen Harper, which specifically for the Canadian political spectrum is about as far as it gets. Stephen Harper is easily the most right-wing Canadian Prime Minister in modern history, and the National Rational is basically a socialist, I believe. And it didn't matter that Doug Ford continuously railed against the deal like a child, because most of the gain that Mark Carney saw after the deal came from Ontario. Ontario is surprisingly loving everything that this man is doing. Other than that, Mark Carney's Davos speech shouldn't be ignored. JJ McCullough did a video where it's like every country's greatest speech, and he admitted that Canada doesn't really have a greatest speech or a good one, and it's a genuine insecurity for Canadians. So to go from that to being completely lionized by the entire world and become only the 3rd person in history to be given a standing ovation, one of which being Nelson Mandela, is insane. If there is still anyone doubting this speech, I really beg you to reconsider. I do believe this has like the possibility to be one of Canada's great literary contributions to the world, rivaling like Flanders Fields and Heated Rivalry. After the speech was made, Pierre Poilievre had to admit, yeah, that was an amazing speech. And Pierre Poilievre is an unloved cretin who can clear an entire room just by trying to smile with his like tight-ass, skinwalker-ass skin. Sorry, what I meant to say was Pierre Poilievre's whole entire strategy is to always disagree with the Liberals. They always did something bad. You should be mad at Mark Carney. They did something bad. Why aren't you mad at Mark Carney? They did something bad. Basically, what I'm trying to say is the Conservatives need to switch up their strategy and start working on a different battlefield, because if they keep doing this, they will continue to lose MPs. And the reality that is seen by voters of Mark Carney, who see him as a hard-working and effective leader, and the reality that is seen by the Conservative voters that Mark Carney eats babies, will continue to become more and more divergent. And I think that is what we are seeing play out currently. Which brings me to my next point. I think that a large reason we saw the Conservative numbers drop for a little bit was because Pierre Poilievre became the leader again. Think about it. The percentage of people who like Pierre Poilievre is much, 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 much lower than the percentage of people who plan on voting Conservative again. And if a pollster comes up to you 3 months ago and says, hey, would you vote for the Conservative Party in like 4 years? Why not, you think? But then you find out the guy who you don't like just got confirmed for another 4 years of leadership. And the next time they ask you, hey, who do you want to vote for? Maybe you change. Now, usually for these videos, I keep them going by focusing on like the strategy and not getting too much into my own politics. The Conservatives should be doing this. The NDP should be doing this. Whatever the hell the Liberals are doing, do not stop doing that. Please keep doing that. You all know by now that I've recommended to the Conservative Party they have to pick a lane by either going with the progressive conservative, old people boomer party, like the country club Republican if you're American, or go full populist and pick up votes that way. We all know where the Liberals have staked their flag. They want them Ontario voters, and that means getting people who look like this. Support you. But from this point on, I honestly do not have any advice to give Pierre Poilievre. I have no clue where he can go from here. I've got no idea. Once the NDP puts up a decent figure with most likely Avi Lewis, who number one is just a white guy, and two is only focusing on affordability and fighting the rich elite, all those NDP voters who went conservative last election will go right back as quickly as they came. And you can't moderate yourself and go for like the progressive conservative crowd because you will never look like a better governor than Mark Carney ever, like literally ever. That leaves Pierre Poilievre with almost no one. I have absolutely no clue what he should be doing right now. I've got no prescriptions. His only hope at this point is to play for that progressive conservative side and just hope and pray that Mark Carney does something wrong. And if I was a betting man, I wouldn't be placing my money on that because people like Mark Carney right now, and he is seen as an effective leader. For that to change, so much would have to happen. It's possible, but a lot would have to happen. And talking personally, surprisingly, the establishment globalist elite with connections to the WEF, I can't believe I'm going to say this, he does seem like a breath of fresh air in Canadian politics. He actually seems normal. He seems like a cool guy. He is just Phil Dunphy with a PhD in economics. That's all he is. And I'm about to per H-Rock here real quick, so brace for impact. But you have Americans saying that Mark Carney is the smartest and most capable world leader. Do you know how stupid and pig-headed Americans are? They still barely have no nuclear energy. El Bozo. Trying to convince older Canadians that no. What you're being told by everyone around the world and how like your leader's better than ours and like better than the Americans and all that. No. What you're seeing is false. And Mark Carney's actually, he's like horrible. He's going to be, he's so bad. He's going to be horrible. It's impossible. For what Canadians have going for them, being smarter, taller, being stronger, being less obese, being friendlier, being more equitable. We are incredibly culturally insecure and always want to be better than the Americans. Right now, we have a leader better than like everyone. We don't have a leader that's just better than Trump. And to like the third point, Donald Trump. You know what Donald Trump does to the Canadian electorate. This man is liberal. Jesus. Donald Trump is the Liberal Party of Canada's fucking messiah. Good Lord. You already know what Trump's effect is on Canadian politics, but what you don't know is Trump's effect and Mark Carney's reaction, which has been actually amazing. Mark Carney has reacted to Trump by doing absolutely nothing. He's done not a single thing, actually. Like almost nothing. Not even in the Davos speech did he say his name. Something I think that was really smart was bringing Pierre Poilievre into the Canadian administration and then sending off Jamil Javani to go do donuts in the Mall of America. That's genius. It's genius because the Conservatives can attack the Liberals now. What are they doing? They watched the NDP sign their death warrant by teaming up with the Liberals, and then they work in the administration. They're not going to be able to get anything done, but now they're going to be able to like take hits and say, yeah, we're working with them. We're part of the government now. Everything you hate is also us. And all they're doing is they're sending Jamil Javani to go to fucking get ice cream and Baskin Robbins. He can't do anything. He's an MP. What is he going to do? It allows Mark Carney to deal with America while not addressing Trump directly or feeding his need for attention and praise for his ego. But it also rips Pierre Poilievre's most important leg that he stands on, which is that he is not a part of the government. Brother, what are you going to do, Pierre? You're going to criticize the relations with the Americans? You and your team were a part of that. Why? What Pierre Poilievre has to be doing is joining the Discord link down in the description below. Best way to support me or becoming a member of the main channel. I love you. Join the Discord, please.